Hey there! Today I'm going to show you why I'm so excited about the xTool P2 and the ability to help me make the gauges and rulers that I sell. I make large rulers and angle gauges and center finders for wood turners, woodworkers, crafters. The neat thing is I'm making everything out of stainless steel. The not neat thing is it's really hard to mark stainless steel. To do it on my fiber laser and to anneal it, this ruler alone would take 2.5 hours and it would warp the ruler because of the heat. So we're going to be working with a product called Cermark, which is a spray that works really well with a CO2 laser. Now, the interesting thing is the last 2 weeks have been quite unique. We had 100-mile-an-hour straight winds come through Tulsa, Oklahoma, and so there are over 200,000 homes without power, including us. Trees are down, everything's messed up, it's really horrible. Well, how am I running my P2 and my computer? We're on a generator, so we'll see how that goes. But anyway, let's get started. Okay, so I've opened up my xTool Creative Space software. The first thing I want to do is to make a test grid. Whenever you're marking on a different material, you want to make a test grid that alternates or runs you through all the different speeds and powers, and that will help you figure out the best mark. When you're working with Cermark, I've been told you want to run at the highest power and the fastest speed you can to get the black mark. So the first grid we're going to make is out of text. I'm going to go to the left here and hit text. Up pops the word hello. You can see it's outlined. Over here, this area popped open. So if I click off, it's gone. When I click back on hello, it's here. So it says it's a score right now. That's why it's outlined. Engraving fills it in. And then when I hit cut, cut makes it a score mark again, but it's actually going to cut through the material. We're not cutting through the stainless steel. We want to engrave on it. So the words hello are solid now. Now I'm going to change hello to S and then 600. 600 is the highest speed in this situation that I can get the P2 to go. So I'm at my max speed. Now I'm going to go to power, and I'm going to make a power grid that's going to start in tenths. So right now I have that the way I want it. I'm going to come back to here. I'm going to make this smaller. Probably about a 1/2 inch. I'm looking up here at these marks. I'm working in inches, so I'm at 5.83. Going to come to about 5. I could just write it in. Oh, I hit it. Okay, so it's 5 inches or 1/2 inch wide. Oh, words, Tim, use them. So I'm clicking back on it because where I want to start with, I want to give that the property of 600, and this goes from 0 to 100 on power. So if we go in tenths, my power is going to be 10, so I'll just type it in, and now I'm at 10 power, 600 speed, and I have 1 square. Well, I need 10 squares to do what I want to do, so I'm going to go up to here where it says array. You have grid array and circular array. I'm going to click on grid array. It defaults to 2x2. I'm actually going to go back to 1 Y row, and I'm going to go straight across, and I'm going to go up to 10 columns. That's the max you can do, or 10, I guess columns, yeah. Okay, so I've got it there. So now you see I've got this repeated several times. I can actually zoom in on this a little bit so you can see it better. Whoop, if I can zoom. So there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to click on the second one, and I want to change this to 20 on the power. And I want to go to this one and change it to 30. And so on. So I'm going to do this until I get all the way up to 100 here. Okay, you can see I got my speed grid done, and then I decided I was going to do something a little bit different too because I got the space to do it. I wanted to make a power grid with speed being tested. So I never run anything at 100%. Maybe it's superstitious, but I've heard it's not good for your laser to do that. So I made a grid which is power 90 all the way on the bottom, and then since it goes to 600 in speed, divide that by 10, we're doing 60 increments as we go up from 60 speed, 120 speed on up. So now that we had that grid, I kind of want to see if this grid is going to fit into the space of one of my ruler blanks, because that's what I'm going to print this on. Good real test. The easy way for me to do that is I'm going to go up to File and select Import Image, and I saved a JPEG of my ruler, and it brings it in. So there's my ruler design. You can see it's on top of the lettering. So I simply want to go up here to arrange, and it says send to back. I send it to back. Now you can see the lettering on top of it, and it looks like it roughly fits. I don't have to worry about positioning it exactly right, because we're going to do that on the blank here in a minute. Now, instead of having to move these individually, if you select all of them like that, you can go up here to group, hit group, and then you have just one thing to grab and drag around, and it makes life a lot easier. So the next thing I have to do is I have to prepare a blank with Cermark. So Cermark is a really cool spray. It makes a ceramic type of coating on whatever material you put it on. Cermark Ultra apparently does a lot of different surfaces, but I'm only worried with using it on stainless steel right now. And you can see it just goes on with even strokes. You want to put it on in a layer that's thick enough that you don't see the material below it shining through, but at the same time you don't want to make it too thick, because that doesn't help the process at all. And everybody's lasers are different, so the settings I'm going to wind up using are going to probably be different from what you want to use. It's just a little bit of tweaking, a little bit of testing. That's why we're doing a test grid. Okay, so the Cermark is dried. We're going to put the ruler blank in here. You'll notice that there is a laser dot in here. And oh, hi, somebody came to visit. What you doing? I think, oh boy. Okay, all right, I'll let you out to pee here in just a second. Okay. You see that the red laser dot is on the piece right here? It looks probably white to you, or really bright. That's going to help us figure out the depth or thickness of the material here when we get ready to mark it. So we'll close this up. I'm going to go let the dog out to pee, and then I'll be right back. Well, Dooley's a lot happier now, and I took the time myself too. Anyway, so the next step we're going to do is I'm going to click on my ruler that I put in there and hit delete, because I don't want that in the way right now. So you don't know where you are. You're looking at just a canvas right here. So you go up to here where it says refresh. There are two cameras inside the P2, which are really, really cool. So see, it's actually taking a picture right there, right now, of what's going on. You might have an issue with the fact that I'm using black on black right now. We're going to tweak that later, but I can see well enough to know what I'm doing right now. So I'm going to take this group here and bring it in here. And I'm going to need to rotate it. So we'll probably rotate it, oh, let's say minus 10 degrees. Nope, that's way too much. So let's try minus 5. Nope. How about minus 2? Nope. How about minus 1? Minus 1. That looks pretty good. I'm going to do minus 1.5. Okay, now, while you're on this, you can actually zoom in, which is really, really cool. So that can help you get something right up to a corner the way you want it. But right now, we look pretty good. So I have all the settings on this ruler the way I want it. Excuse me a second, I'm going to go over here and turn on my air system, the xTool air filtration system. You definitely want a lot of ventilation with this. So anyway, we're all set. Oh, I forgot to do one thing. It's kind of important. I need to set the thickness of this material. So up here where it says user defined, you can click on it, and there are a lot of preloaded different materials that we already know the thickness on. So if you have something that's that thickness and that material, grab it. Because if you do like pine plywood, it says the thickness is this. Well, that's not what we're working with. We're going with user defined. And that red dot I was talking about, it's hitting about right here on the metal. So I'm going to hit this button right here, and it's going to actually measure the thickness of the material for me. And it says it's 0.104 inches. And that's pretty doggone good, because I know this is, I think, 16 gauge steel, so it's in the neighborhood for that. Now, I'm going to move this just a tick more, get a little centered up, there we go. Okay, so we're all ready to go. The next thing I'm going to do is hit start. And when you hit start, it comes up with your preview, and there's a button way up in the right-hand corner. You hit start on that. And now it says ready. Press the button on the device, and I've got to press the button on top of the machine to make all this work. Well, those were some interesting results and not exactly what I was expecting. Let me go rinse this off and I'll explain to you what I was noticing. So when you're a wood turner and you have a chainsaw and there's been power outages with trees down and your neighbors come by, you got to go help them out. So had to take a break, got to clean up, and we'll get back to doing the project. Whew, hot day. Oh, that's better. I'm so glad that our generator is good enough to handle running a laser, a couple lights, and a 10,000 watt BTU window air conditioner, which is keeping the house somewhat acceptable right now. So on my original test, I think it might have been on the screen, it said that I was going to print at 300 lines per centimeter. I actually changed that back to 100 because that's what the software defaults to in the beginning. So I wanted to try that first, and you can see the results kind of were all over the map. It went from not really printing to printing. The one thing I did notice, you can see this kind of jaggy and has little bitty lines, and it doesn't look real crisp. So I redid the test up here again with 300 lines per centimeter, and the printing came out much better. But it's kind of, as we got towards faster speeds, it's got lighter and lighter and lighter. The sweet spot was kind of around speed 60, power 90. So I went from speed 30 all the way up to speed 600, but that's where I found an interesting thing. There are diminishing returns. So I took a lot of notes on this. From speeds about, what I have here, 50, 60, 55, all the way up to about 120, you're in a range of about a minute and 4 seconds, minute and 2 seconds, up to about a minute and 21 for a half-inch square to print. As I got faster and faster and faster, 300 speed was 133, 360 was 143, 540 is 226, and 600 speed was 2 minutes and 41 seconds to print the same half-inch square that I was printing in, say, 1 minute and 6 seconds at speed 75. And why is that? Well, I noticed that the carriage on the laser travels, and it has to slow down and come back. So when you're doing real small stuff, it's real easy to do that at a slower speed. When you're at a higher speed, it's almost like it has to go zip by, deaccelerate, stop, accelerate up, and zip by again. So when I got to the 600 speed, the carriage was actually traveling about 8 inches back and forth. So that's a lot of wasted movement. So after looking at this, the sweet spot I found is probably somewhere around speed 65 and power 90 to speed 75 or 80, 90. So what I want to do now is do a full scale test and print an entire ruler on here. Okay, to get started, I've opened up a new project. I have a clean slate here. I'm going to go to File, Import Image. I have a JPEG and a PNG of my ruler. I'm going to take the PNG simply because I can see through it. Here it comes. I'm going to pull it over to here. I want to go over here. I'm on Engrave. I want to change my power to 90, and I'm going to go with 70 for the speed on this one. 70. I'm going to change lines per centimeter to 300. I'm going to keep it bidirectional for right now. I'm going to go up here in the right-hand corner in the green square and hit refresh right under the USB. So boom, it takes a picture. You'll notice something interesting, by the way. There are white sheets of paper on here. I had a problem because in a second we're going to use Smart Fill, which should take this and try to place it on the other blank relatively accurately. Since my blanks are gray and the inside is black, it wouldn't recognize the other blank for the life of it when I tried this. So that's why I put the white sheet of paper under here. So I'm going to zoom in on this corner here, and this is a nice photo, but it's not perfectly accurate because it's a wide angle lens. Up here under refresh, it says capture close view. You click that, it activates the ability to now take the camera, which is on the laser head, move it directly over the piece, and it'll take a picture. And you can see it took a picture, and look at the difference in how far apart these are. This is a lot lower. So I'm going to go into here. I'm going to drag this. This is, I'll go in as much as I can. This is a 1/16 of an inch gap here in my ruler. Going by 16ths on this. So I know about where to put it. My ruler is a little bit rounded off on the edge, so that's okay. Let's see. We'll capture close view again, bring it over here. And no, we're a little bit low here, so I've got to rotate it just a hair. But I'm going to pull this up, get it level. I think that's exactly where I need it. I'm going to go back to this end and look again and see what sort of rotation I'm going to need to do. So capture. When you're working with rulers, there is no room for error. And when I worked with my fiber laser on this, it would take me, I'm not kidding, up to 8 hours to get this template set up. That looks good. I have a little overlap here, but that's okay. That's the way I kind of designed that part of it. Now we're going to try the thing which eluded me earlier, is I'm going to go up here where it says Smart Fill. Smart Fill should look at this shape and look at this shape. I think this gray is just the wrong gray. What I might do is, I don't know if this will help. I'm going to take a picture right here. And, or maybe better, I'm going to move the picture over to the end. Let's see what happens. So, now I'm going to hit Smart Fill. Oh, wow. Gave me more than I expected. Okay, maybe this needs a little bit of work yet. It'd be really handy if it did work, but that's not gonna kill me that much, because I'm actually going to take acrylic sheets, lay them on the bed, and do a cut command and cut out spaces for all of my tools. And that way I just put the acrylic sheet back in place, pull up the same file, and just bam, bam, bam. I don't have to do any of this alignment stuff. This is handy if you're going to be doing a few one-offs, but as far as doing bulk, I like doing the acrylic sheet thing. So anyway, I'm going to work with this for a minute and get my rotation correct, and then see what works the best here. And I'll get this lined up, and then we will try a print. Okay, I got to pull an audible here because we are 38 minutes into the burn, and that's as far as we have gotten. So I'm going to reposition this one so it goes straight across and try the fastest speed I can to see how that actually turns out. I think I forgot to mention, for those of you who want to work with a laser, you probably should have a therapist on speed dial. As you can tell, it's a different day. The good news is the power is on. We just need to get a new roof and a new fence. But other than that, everything's swell, right? Because where I left you a few seconds ago in real time, for you, was on the aborted print. This took 38 minutes. This was a 90 power, 70 speed, and 300 lines per centimeter. It looks beautiful. It's just taking way too much time. So I thought, oh, what the heck, let's just crank it up to 600 speed with the same settings for power and lines per inch. And this came out. It kind of looks a little bleedy, smeary, and everything else, but you'll notice there's a shift in there. After talking to tech support, they recommended not using the 600 speed just yet as they're tweaking the software to go down to about 450. So that set me off on my OCD thing, and I made the grids to end all grids, and I was going anywhere from 60 speed to 500 speed and 160 lines per centimeter to 280 lines per centimeter. And I didn't want to do 100%, so I went to 99%. And actually, almost all of these look good, but when you look at them really close up, there's some issues in that. So I thought I'd push it as much as I could with speed, not listening to tech support. So I went with 500 speed, 160 lines per inch, and 99-inch power. It looks good overall. This took about 14 minutes to get this half. That's a decent time. But when I looked on real close inspection, I could see that the lines weren't sharp. They were kind of bleeding. It's as if the Cermark didn't have time to melt and then adhere to the stainless steel. So my final test I did was at 450 speed to slow it down so the laser will lay there a little bit longer. I went up to 300 lines per centimeter, kept it at 99% power, and I'm real happy with the results now. It did take a little bit longer though. It took 39 minutes. but it's a really good result. Working with Cermark can be tricky at times, and so this is a real specific, specialized thing. If you want to engrave, if you want to just mark, if you want to cut, the P2 is phenomenal. For my specific thing, it's working great for me. It's just going to take me a little time to dial it into where it moves a little bit faster. So that's it for this video, and I can't wait until the next one because we're going to show how I'm going to use the P2 with my wood turning. So until next time, keep turning. Until the next time, keep lasering.